Well, I have wanted to come to this cemetery for a long time. We are in Lakeview Cemetery in Cleveland, Ohio. Just a ton of history here. A president, an untouchable, the man who coined the phrase rock and roll. They are all here, and I'm taking you along with me today as we take a tour of Lakeview Cemetery in Cleveland, Ohio. This cemetery in Cleveland, Ohio has been one that has been on my list to visit for a very long time. Lakeview Cemetery. Not only is there stunning beauty, history, and architecture all around, there are a number of notable burials in this historic location. This cemetery was established in 1869 and is considered a garden-style cemetery. Another interesting fact, there are two different locations within this cemetery that are listed on the National Register of Historic Places. A group of 30 people would form a not-for-profit cemetery association on July 28, 1869, and they began raising funds. The planning of this cemetery was meticulous, and an expert designer was brought in, Adolf Strock, who actually designed Spring Grove Cemetery in Cincinnati, Ohio. It is no wonder that this would lead to so many famous burials. I'm going to visit those famous graves now, and I am taking you all along with me. And we begin our tour with a person who once held the highest office in the land. Born on November 19, 1831, President James A. Garfield served 9 terms in the U.S. House, and an unbelievable stat, he's still the only person elected to the office of president while a sitting member of the U.S. House. Garfield was born in northeastern Ohio and was born into a very poor family. He studied law and would become an attorney. He was a skilled talker and could present himself very well, and although he was a politician and a member of the House, he actually didn't seek the office of president. At the 1880 Republican National Convention, his name was brought forth by the delegation, and he was elected on the 36th ballot to be their candidate for president. He would narrowly win the election. Sadly, he would not be president for long. He would be assassinated. Initially, he made some small improvements, but he would pass away approximately 2 months after he received the wound. His memorial is in a prominent location in the cemetery, and during the warmer months, you can actually go in. Unfortunately, it wasn't open when I was there. It actually closes every winter on the birthday of President Garfield. The caskets of Garfield and his wife lie in the memorial in a crypt. The final remains of his daughter and son-in-law are also here. Elliot Ness was the leader of a group of law enforcement officials. This group of agents were known as the Untouchables. When it came time to try to take down Al Capone in Chicago, Elliot Ness led the way. He would eventually be named Chief Investigator of the Prohibition Bureau for Chicago and also Director for Public Safety in Cleveland. Because of the high-profile depictions after his death, Elliot Ness became more popular in death than in life. Actually, it was said that he died broke, and by the time he passed, his efforts to bring down Capone were largely forgotten. He was cremated, and his remains were scattered in the pond behind this memorial dedicated to Elliot Ness. Harvey Bakar would become best known for his autobiographical comic series American Splendor. This would actually inspire a film as well. He has been called the Poet Laureate of Cleveland. Visitors to his grave will leave pens and pencils in his honor. Alan Freed's contribution to pop culture lasts more than 50 years after his death. He coined the phrase rock and roll through his promotion and radio shows. Because of Alan Freed, rock and roll was so much associated with Cleveland that Cleveland is considered the birthplace of rock and roll. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is here in Cleveland as well, and fittingly, in 1986, Alan Freed was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He also received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. He would pass away in 1965 due to cirrhosis brought on by alcoholism. One of the most highly visited places in the whole cemetery isn't necessarily a famous grave, although it has become famous. The statue could be described as haunting or unsettling. This is known as the Hasserat Angel. It is also called the Angel of Death Victorious, and she is also referred to as the Weeping Angel. The legend goes that she cries black tears, and you can see the stains down her face. This statue alone will bring visitors from all over just to see its stoic majesty protecting the Hasserat family. The statue was erected in 1924. John D. Rockefeller founded the Standard Oil Company, and it has been thought that he was the wealthiest person in America and perhaps the richest in modern history, especially for that time. In 1913, it is estimated that his wealth was 3% of the U.S. GDP. To his credit, as his wealth grew, so did his charity and giving, and he was known to be a great philanthropist. His oil career may have had controversy, but his later years in charity work would be praised. To put this in perspective, in the year 2020, when adjusted for inflation, the value of his wealth was $23.5 billion. He would pass away in 1937 at the age of 97. I hope you all are enjoying the tour so far, and here's the thing, we're not done yet. We've already visited some famous graves. Obviously we got more to go, and I mean, this cemetery, Lakeview, is absolutely huge, so we know there's no way to visit everyone who has some sort of notoriety or contribution to society, but we're going to do what we can here today. We've got a few more to visit. Let's continue on our tour of Lakeview Cemetery in Cleveland, Ohio. Henry Alden Sherwin was one of the founders of the Sherwin-Williams Company, and you may not realize that this company dates back to 1866. By this time, Sherwin had saved $2,000 and began forming partnerships that would eventually lead to the paint company that we know today. Mr. Sherwin passed in 1916. And are there any Salisbury Steak fans watching? Well, here is the final resting place of the man who created it. Not only did he create this unique steak, he was also a physician, and as a physician, he was concerned about the troops and was convinced that he could create a food that would help with their digestive issues. He would say no to vegetables and starchy foods, and yes to chopped beefsteak. He passed away at the age of 82 in 1905. Raymond Johnson Chapman played baseball and spent his entire career playing for Cleveland. Sadly, he was hit in the head by a pitch and succumbed to his injuries about 12 hours later. To this day, he is the only person to have passed away directly from an in-game injury. His death led to the rule that would see umpires replace baseballs that are dirty, and although it took another 30 years for helmets to be required, his case helped justify the need. The Cleveland players wore black armbands the remainder of the season in his honor and would go on to win the World Series. Lakeview Cemetery was a time capsule of history, and it was an honor for me to visit the final resting places of those that I visited today, and one day I would love to make a return visit. Please subscribe for more cemetery and history videos. Another video of mine will be on the screen soon, and it is my hopes that you will watch it. Once again, from Lakeview Cemetery in Cleveland, Ohio, I will see you again soon.